for your daily dose of Tuddle.
The all-time greatest intern/producer we've ever had, of course, Tuddle in Florida.
From the Hobo Fish Camp, it's the Tuddle Daily Podcast.
No wonder nobody likes you, Tuddle. Everything's a goddamn debate.
All right, guys, greetings and welcome to another edition of the Tuddle Daily Podcast. Hopefully you guys have had a great week. I would love to catch up with you guys. If you'd love to call in, I would actually love for you to call in. You can easily do that. 407-270-3044. Once again, 407-270-3044. You can also text on that number. I try to feature as many messages from the chat room. This is the first time that you're tuning in. I'm on multiple platforms streaming at the same time. So you can put up a comment on whatever platform you're watching on, and I could put it up on the screen so everybody can see it. So let's have a fun show today. Coming up at 7:15, Flobo Boyce. It's a very interesting name, but Flobo Boyce, he is a comedian, master of ceremonies, and an award-winning DJ. So Flobo is going to join me here real soon. I got a lot of questions I want to ask him. Award-winning DJ. I did some research, and he does a lot of wedding DJing, which is I'm always fascinated with that. I have a lot of questions about that. But once again, if you want to call in, 407-270-3044. I got to tell you, today was probably one of the most perfect days of football, or if you're an American, soccer. I know that a lot of Americans are not watching the World Cup anymore now that the United States is out of it. We all knew that was going to happen. The only time Americans care about soccer or football is when the United States is playing in the World Cup. I would almost guarantee you that not a lot of Americans probably watched the Russia World Cup. Now, there was probably quite a few, but not as much as it there usually is and stuff. There's no way at all that was true. But today, the two matches today, I am not a fan of the penalty shootouts. I hate it. I sometimes think that the best team does not win. Joe the Supermark. He says, "Oh, fuck soccer." It was good texting with you, Joe, the other day. I really appreciate that. Because I still have not heard the audio. I have not found it yet, but Joe the Supermark ended up texting me and said, "Hey, Bubba's talking about you." I was like, "Nah." He was like, "You probably already know." I was like, "No, man, I'm busy I'm being responsible working." I mean, no dig on Bubba or anything, but I don't get to listen a lot because I love to get my work day started. I'll start at 7. Yeah, I heard that, Joe. I didn't hear it with my own ears, but yeah, I've heard that like 2 days in a row, Bubba the Love Sponge has talked about me. And I did not talk about this because I did have a text conversation with Bubba not too long ago. When was this? It was November 29th. And I'm not going to get into what we talked about because that is private conversation between me and him. But I will say this, it was all positive. And it really wasn't even about work per se until the very end. It was just more about how you doing, Tuddle? How are things in your world? How was Thanksgiving? Happy birthday as well too. So I thought that was really, really, really cool. And it was left off that that he was like, look, we want to do some stuff. And I'm being as vague as possible. I'm not going to say anything at all. And I was like, thank you. And the last thing he said, I'm on it. So I think I'm trying to play it cool. And I don't dislike Anna at all. I really like Anna. I know a lot of you guys think that I do hate Anna, but I really don't. Because like the times that I was calling in and stuff about Anna, she was the new shiny toy on the show and stuff. So of course I was going to go after Anna. Yeah, I said some really bad things about Anna. Yeah, I told her, I said, if she wanted to, be over, like if she wanted to be over at the BRN, like with the fans, if she wanted to be over with the fans, I said the first piece of content that you need to be doing is eating an apple through a chain link fence. I know that, I know that's not the nicest thing to tell a woman that, oh yeah, you should eat an apple through a chain link fence like you're a horse or something. No. It was a mess up thing for me to say. It really was. But did I really mean that? No, I did not mean that at all. If I'm just being upfront and honest, that I was just being a dick. I saw somebody, and radio is a little bit like prison. Like, okay, if you want to make it, do you know what you got to do? You got to go to the new, big, fancy, tough toy in the radio business, and you gotta go straight for the jugular with that. And that's what I did, and I turned out to look like the complete asshole, which it was kind of an asshole thing to say. Do I really hate Anna? Did I have anything? No, if I'm being honest, I think Anna's really, really good. She is amazing at what she does. So I was just going after her because that was like the new shiny little toy at the BRN after Tuddle was fired. After he did the work that turned into a bigger work, and then it got him fired. Yeah, I mean, Joe, the supermarket says, now I enjoy her immensely because she has found her role. It is. And I'm not like trying to be one of those people that are like, oh, we have to have gender equality and everything. No, I mean, I do agree that we need that. But at the same time, it is tough. It is very, very tough. It would be tough for any woman. Matter of fact, I think Anna is the longest continuously running female personality on the Bubba the Love Sponge show. I mean, Tara was good. I thought Bubba's sister was amazing on the show, but I think Anna has been there for like over 2 years now, right? So what I'm trying to say though is that environment, and I'm not saying we are all a bunch of dicks or anything like that, but at the same time, that is a hard environment for a female to be able to go into and not like take things too seriously and not get butthurt or know that it is all just a part of the entertainment value of what the Bubba the Love Sponge show offers. Well, Joe, I don't know. Like, what time is Bubba doing the show? Like, it starts at 9, correct? Because, like, if I'm being honest, I would most certainly call into the show. So, I mean, because back to what I was saying, I'm playing it cool when it comes to the whole Bubba thing. Like, I'm not going to be overly aggressive or whatever when it comes to trying to get back on the show. And I know, like, I'm never ever going to be a part of the terrestrial show. It's not going to happen, people. I burned that bridge, and it's all because of the stuff that I had to say about Florida Man Radio and everything. So, I mean, I don't know. Big Doobie says, Tuddle and Lummy had twice as many viewers for their after show. I will say this, and let's not leave out, because let's be honest. One of the things that was talked about is that when Bubba was talking about me and stuff, but, you know, the whole thing is about me and Colton doing a show. So let's not forget about Colton. And if me and Colton were to do a show and then Lummy wanted to be on it, or if Bubba wanted Lummy to be on it, whatever. Like, I am a new person. Like, I'm not going to get bent out of shape. I have been working in the corporate world for over a year now. And it's been a good thing for me, because if I'm being honest, and I know that's a buzzword I'm using a lot, and I do that because I do go back and listen to the shows that I do. I hate my voice, by the way, but I listen to them just to see if I'm using a lot of crutch words. And I think I've already used, like, if I'm being honest, like 4 or 5 times in the first 13 minutes of the show. And I'm going to be able to hear that when I listen back and be like, oh, if I'm being honest. But I think that myself, Lummox, Colton, I didn't say those in any particular order because of anybody's importance or anything like that. Everybody knows I'm in love with Colton, not in a romantic way, but as in a family member way, a brother type, brother. So, yes, I'm excited about it. So, all that happened. And I know that I got all squirreled on the World Cup stuff. But, man, those were two great matches today. Argentina won. And I'll get into it because I know my guest is about to call in soon. But Brazil goes down against Croatia. And I think it's all because they were cursed by a cat. If you guys go to my Twitter account, twitter.com/Tuddle, or just go to Twitter and search @Tuddle, that if you search it, I guess during the pre-match press conference, well, not I guess, I know I've done a lot of research about it. A cat decided that he was going to, like, chill out on the table where the press conference was happening. Joe, you know what? I would like to talk to you about that. So hold on, Joe. Okay. Hey, what's up, my friend?
What's going on, baby?
Flobo Boyce.
That's what they call me.
Now, did I get it right? Because I'm always afraid, like, when I have guests on, that I'm gonna butcher the names.
Oh, I'm the same way, and it's always bad when someone's like, it's fine. No, it's cool. No, you got it right. You got it right there.
No, so Flobo, you know what it reminds me of? Because, like, I'm into the Olympics. I love what are you drinking there?
This is Pink Starburst C4 energy drink.
Pink Starburst
Burst.
C4. Like
Yeah.
now, I mean, how much sugar is in that
I
drink?
think these are sugar free these days.
They
Yeah,
are.
they're
Uh,
0%, but I don't know if it's aspartame or if it's
yeah, it's like
sucralose.
everything's gonna poison us anyway. So
Potassium
you might,
sorbate, I think, is a sugar here.
yeah, you might as well just go for it. I mean,
Mhm.
they come out with new stuff all the time talking about, oh, it's gonna kill us. Like if you burn your toast too much. If you burnt toast, that's
Yeah.
carcinogens and all
Right.
that stuff, and it's real weird. But Flobo, before we get into the interview, I like to give my guests when they come on the floor to be able to promote themselves because
Oh, yeah.
I can do all the research I want to, but I'm not going to be able to promote it like you could. Like,
Sure.
wouldn't you always say that you're always you should always be your biggest promoter? Yeah, I mean, a lot of people take that as, oh, he has an ego. He has, an ego or whatever. But if you're not going to promote yourself, then who is? Like, you should be your biggest promoter.
Right. Yeah. I always say that when someone goes, I don't want to toot my own horn. It's like, well, it's your horn. Who the hell's going to toot it
Yes.
besides you? Well, there's a lot of slashes about my name. Comedian, podcaster, author, uh, the doctor of divinity. I do weddings as well, wedding DJ. But I like to say I'm a live entertainment professional. One of the cool things about my career is that I do everything with a microphone. So formerly, I worked at Spotify. I won the wrestling shows called the Mac Media Podcast. I'm an esports shoutcaster in Rocket League, so I do the commentary for that stuff. And then I'm a working comedian, so I go out on the road. I tell jokes for a living. So anything with a microphone, that's me.
And you actually have like some stand-up specials that are recorded and stuff as well too, right?
Yeah, Cookies and Beer from 2016, and then American for Now, which came after that, both available wherever you get your audio entertainment. I'm a Spotify guy, but
Mhm.
if you're an Apple person or Tidal, it's there too.
Flobo, so cookies and beer. All right, so that kind of stood out because I went on your YouTube channel and you eat a lot of like weird food combinations and stuff. Is that
Yeah.
where cookies and beer come from, or like
Yes and no. Like I do love my weird food combinations. I formerly had a Patreon. That's what you're referring to, the series called Flobo Tries, where I do try weird stuff for those enjoyment. But when I closed my Patreon this year, I decided to roll that out and almost like bonus content. So you'll see me do the Oreo tour and all those weird things. But it actually came from a night where I was going to see my girlfriend at the time, and she
Yeah.
stopped by. I was going to the store. I had a sweet tooth. I was on a diet, really, so I was going to cheat on my diet. I was going to get some cookies. And she said, "Hey, can you bring back some wine or something to make an adult night?" And I put some wine on the conveyor belt, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't know. I'll just say I'll get the beer and then say, I forgot. This is why we're single now. So I put the beer and the cookies on the conveyor belt, and the cashier looked at me like I was crazy. Like I wasn't going to be like, getting, something nefarious. I said, no, that's what adulthood is. I can eat cookies for dinner because no one's going to stop me. And I'm going to drink my adult beverages. And so I actually mentioned that in the last joke of that special, kind of changed some of the things to protect the innocent, but that's where it first started from.
I'm alcohol free since 2020.
Respect.
But back in the day, there was nothing better than having an alcoholic beverage when you weren't supposed to have an alcoholic beverage. You see what I'm saying?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
okay, so like say you got the day off during the weekday, okay? And like when I used to drink still, like I worked late at night, okay? Worked overnight, okay? But I used to get like the ugliest looks sometimes, like because you couldn't buy beer or alcohol until 7 a.m. in certain places here in Florida. And even though I'm working a completely different schedule, I would get such dirty looks. I'd be like, "Oh man, what is he up to? He's buying beer and liquor or alcohol at like 7 o'clock in the morning."
Yeah, when I lived in Florida, I think they had those ABC stores, right? So that was
Yeah.
always a thing. You had to go in the mission. But here in California, it's like you could buy booze at Target or at CVS.
Oh, you
It's
can.
it's pretty great. But you're right. The timing thing matters because there's some days I wake up and I'll go, oh, I'm not feeling drinking today. But if I was taking a 6 a.m. flight somewhere, I'll definitely have a beer in the
Oh, if you're
lounge.
taking a flight and you go to the airport, man, you got to have one. But there's a fine balance, though. Okay,
Yeah.
because all right, so there's a good mixture, Flobo, on this is that if you're going to have some drinks, you better be on your best behavior because the staff is looking for any reason to kick you off the flight. Like if you're being rude at all and they smell any alcohol, all they got to tell is the TSA was like, he's too drunk to fly or whatever.
Yeah.
But you got to be I was a smart alcoholic back in the day. It really, really was. I was.
Yeah.
And, like one of the radio stations I was working at, like we weren't in a corporate setting. The radio show, we were nationally syndicated, but the guy owned his own building, his own studio. Like he was like he had everything there. Like he didn't need a radio station. He could just broadcast from his own studio.
Yeah.
We could get high. We could smoke pot if we wanted to before the show. Like I could drink. There'd be some mornings I would already be like 8 shots of, because we had a sponsorship with like this vodka company in Tampa. And like we would have those like little airplane bottles. So if I told a funny joke or whatever, like he'd throw a little miniature mini bar bottle across the room. And if I caught it, I could drink it. And like if my hand-eye coordination, I was being funny that day, man, I would be wasted by 10 a.m.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but like, and look, it was fun times. Oh, it was such fun times. Oh my God, it was fun, but it was not great because the next thing in a couple of years after my divorce, I was like, oh man, I'm getting fat. And then, so I stopped drinking and stuff. I've gotten in better shape and everything. So,
absolutely.
Right, enough about me. So I gotta talk about
I like hearing about you. That was pretty cool. My jobs aren't nearly as fun as that, but
wedding DJ. Okay. That's
one of my jobs. That's the day job that's at night and weekends. Yeah.
That is the one that I have the most interest about. Okay.
Oh, tell me.
What is the single lady bridesmaid? How many have you bagged being a wedding DJ? Come on, man. Like I can only imagine, especially if you're like, if I was a wedding DJ, I would only DJ weddings that had open bars because I'd be like, yep, I will have the pick of any of the bridesmaids. I don't care. I can go from the top of the scale when it comes to looks, and if I get desperate, I can go hogging.
If you're asking me specifically, the answer is 0. I've bagged no bridesmaids.
What? Okay,
you can though.
Anything?
No, I haven't. I'm so concerned about my gear because I'm a mobile DJ. I pack everything up and I leave. So I personally would. But the guys I DJ'd with, probably almost every time, because you, like a bartender, you're giving out the good vibes. And if it's not your day, if you are a bridesmaid, you're probably looking for something. But
okay,
I've never had.
I bet this guy tried to steal the bride from her husband. Like, have you ever had a bride that maybe made you a little uncomfortable? It was like,
I will say, yeah. There was one time. There's 2 stories. One time where a best man confessed his love to the bride during his speech, and it's not like the movie. She didn't like run off with him. It was kind of weird and creepy. But there was one time I did a wedding where the bride was like trashed, which is okay. It's her day, right? If there's any one day you can go get trashed, it's your wedding night. But she was getting trashed, and she was always coming out of her dress. Again, not my problem. I never wore a wedding dress before. They're probably difficult, but she always wanted to have the microphone to make speeches. So I got so nervous because there was just a photographer taking pictures of me and the bride with her, her girls out. And I was always like, I'm looking around. It was just the most awkward photos I've ever seen in my life. And the groom is like holding her baby going like, she's like that all the time. It's okay, Flobo. I'm like,
wait. The bride. So this was like a shotgun wedding then almost then, right?
I would say so. Yeah. Shotgun wedding. Yeah.
If you're just new to the show and you don't know what a shotgun wedding is, it's like you get the bride pregnant before you actually get married, and the father basically hold shotgun to your back to force you to get married type deal.
Yeah.
So Flobo. So all right, I have ADHD, so I'm gonna jump all around the place and everything. So what is the weirdest location you've ever officiated a wedding or DJ'd a wedding at?
The weirdest, it's kind of sterile over here in Southern California. Like people get married in
Have
the
you ever done
mountains.
it at a bowling alley at Lake
An
or
Irish bar once. I did a reception at an
sign
Irish
me up
bar.
for
Yeah.
that? Like
Yeah, I
hell
mean, all the groom side loved it. The bride side was like, "Oh, where is the ceremony? Oh, it's upstairs."
The Irish, though, the Irish might be a
Yeah.
little racist. I'm just saying, you ain't got to worry about,
I
bigger.
mean, who isn't racist? That's the problem with
Oh,
us. Like,
everybody is.
everybody's not racist.
Yeah, but I mean, the Irish, everybody wants to talk about all the racism in America. Yeah, it's bad. There's racism. I've been watching a lot of the World Cup. Did you into sports at all? Or
Oh yeah, I mean it's kind of hard being on the West Coast. A lot of times, like football starts at 10 o'clock in the morning on Sundays.
I know,
but I try it, or F1.
And it's 7 a.m. for you. A lot of people forget America's a big ass country, so it's like West Coasters are all like watching it at 7 a.m.
Oh yeah, F1's done before like daybreak sometimes. But no, I've been watching sports. I'm a sports person. I'm a baseball fan more. It's like my number one sport.
Dodgers,
Mets.
Padres. Oh, but you're out on the West Coast. Or did you?
I'm from Brooklyn. I'm born in
are.
Brooklyn. Yeah. I moved out here 15 years ago for grad school. But yeah, I'm from Brooklyn.
Yeah, but everybody moves to California. They, there's a lot of competition there. Like, why don't people go to like Idaho where they had those murders up there?
I think you just oversold it, man.
Well, I'm just saying, there's no competition. People are getting there's quadruple homicides in Idaho. There's less competition for jobs there,
Well, I would say from the outside looking in, because my dad does the same thing. My dad is an avid Fox News watcher, and he always hears the reports when like the employment or unemployment records for California comes out.
Your dad watches Fox News.
Yeah.
You see where I asked that question, right? Like, all right,
it's the most popular news network on cable. No,
all right. So, would you? Are you conservative or are you're fine? Because I don't support either side. I'm just asking because I like to talk it out.
Yeah, neither do I. I grew up in a two-party household. This is the kind of the whole premise of my second album, American for Now. So I grew up in a two-party household. My dad registered, so he's literally Republican, and my mom never registered, but she would be considered conservative and progressive. But I have to say this because everyone assumes the opposite. They're both black. My parents are both black. Everyone's like, "Oh, your dad's white, huh?" Like, no, he's black. He's just black and conservative.
I don't want to say that, but
but you were thinking it.
Look, I'll be honest. Like I was like, I don't know. I'm looking at it right now. You could have like a half white father or something.
You know what's funny? Because it's 15 to 18 million of us, and there's only two major political parties. Of course, by nature or probability, someone's going to be the other side. But it's always been cool growing up in that household because you see both sides all the time, and they always bickered. So I never got into politics at all. I ran for office myself, nonpartisan.
What'd you do?
So here in Palms, which is a neighborhood I live in, it's LA's first neighborhood. I ran to be like a business representative, almost like a mayor, but for businesses in my neighborhood to see if we can, increase our whole influence on the West Side. Came in last place. I lost, but I ran. I ran nonpartisan because I didn't really feel strongly at either side to say I'm conservative or liberal. But
yeah. All right. So all right. Your dad is concerned. Did he vote for Trump?
My dad stopped voting about 8 years ago. And he felt that being a conservative in New York City is kind of hard, right? It's kind of like throwing your vote away because the city's been progressive for so long. So he stopped voting, but I do believe he gave money to, if not Trump directly, but probably, whatever, where you can support.
Speaking of New York is getting a little bad right now, isn't it? Like, does your parents and stuff still live in New York or no?
Yeah, everyone's still in Brooklyn. I'm the only one that came out west to follow my dreams and all that.
Do you ever worry about them though? Because like I'm hearing that it's getting bad in some of the areas around there. Like the subways are becoming dangerous to ride on. I hear that's getting bad, or is that just propaganda by the news.
I think it's there's a general worry because my parents are older, right? So they had me later in their lives, and so they're now like in their 70s, and I worry because of not so much the crime themselves getting hurt, but because the crime is up, and of course the news reports on it more often. They have been essentially shocked into not going outside. So I'll call my dad and say, "Let me." What's up?
But the pandemic also probably had a little bit to do with that as well, too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, even if I think our neighborhood is just as safe when I go down there, then when I was a kid, it's actually a lot safer than it was. If I say, "Hey, Dad, I'm gonna fly you out, and we can meet in I don't know Atlanta or Alaska or whatever," he goes, "I'm not going outside. It's dangerous out there." And I go, "Well, how?" "Well, I've heard on the news," and I think that has done more than the actual crime itself. I never go home and feel more unsafe than before. It's just that now with the news being the way it is, my parents don't want to go outside, and that makes me kind of concerned.
Where were your parents, or were they born in that area, or no?
No, my parents are both West Indian. They're from Barbados.
Barbados. And now that's Caribbean, right?
Oh yeah, Caribbean, West
Okay.
Indian.
A lot of people just think that North America is just like Mexico, Canada, and the United States, but a lot of people forget about all the Caribbean islands and stuff that are there, and how many different cultures and stuff that we have in those small little island nations.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's dozens in it from influences too. There's a Spanish Caribbean. There's like ones up by the Dutch. There were old French colonies. It is kind
Haitian,
of
French, Haitian,
yeah.
There's so, because that was an area where there was a lot of colonialism, other country from Europe and stuff coming there.
Absolutely.
So you're out in California, you've been there. What has been the big differences between New York, California? Because, back in the day, we had East Coast, West Coast, Biggie, Tupac, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Any like cultural differences you've found?
It's funny because I always think that here is normal until I go to Florida, and I feel like people from Florida are very obsessed with the politics in California. But no, what I think is with California, I like the weather. It's true you can surf and snowboard the same day. It's very image conscious. Just for backstory, and it's actually mentioned this in my book.
Yeah.
My entire life, I was
recreational weed.
Oh yeah, it's legal. Actually, you can get it delivered to your house if you like. I mean, the taxes are crazy, but yeah, you can walk to the store, show your card, and then you can then buy whatever you want. It's really cool because everything's
got medical now.
I mean, ideally, a car will always trump recreation, but it's cool to have that option. But what I like about here, about California, is that there's a lot of like people that get what you do. You can say things like I'm a podcaster and broadcaster, and that
look at you, Liz. They don't look at you like, "Oh man, get a real job" or something.
Right. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need to go back to New York and be like, "Yo, Money, what the hell is that? What is a Spotify podcast? What's a video game commentator?" But when you're trying to start off and see to build your own brand or whatever, I mean, it's kind of cool to be in that neighborhood. And it's such image consciousness. That's my point. I used to be 400 pounds or 375 pounds.
No fucking way. No.
True story. Yeah. I used to be a biggin, as they call it. But out here in California, everyone's so self-conscious and health conscious. You could buy quinoa bowls on the corner or avocados. Like, it helped me to lose the weight. It wouldn't have happened if I was in New York because everyone's like,
or you're in the
real
South
food
where everything's just fried. Like,
yeah.
Hey, you want some butter on your toast? Yeah, let me fry this butter before you put it on your toast and stuff.
Absolutely.
Like,
I was in Nashville for 3 days this summer. I was like, how do people do this? I can't.
Still good though. But if I'm being honest though, I mean, the South is a little bit of a hardier type people though. Like,
yeah, because they work with their hands seriously.
Yeah, well, but a lot of people don't realize this. Everybody's like, wouldn't you agree that all right, so I'm not saying the North has a bunch of pussies or anything, but
yeah, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, but when you say the South, we just had to be tougher. We just had, I think, with the diseases and stuff that happened, like people in the South are like, fuck this, I ain't wearing a mask. I'm not getting vaccinated. Guess what? We told our kids to go out and play out in the dirt. We played out in the mud or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, what generation are you from? You Gen Xer, millennial?
I prefer the term Generation Y because that's what they called me. But yes, it'll be a millennial at this point.
Okay, so, but you were like, what year were you born though?
1985.
85?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're only like 5 years away from being a Gen Xer. So you were like, you grew up in that generation where like you probably some of your teenage years, you could leave the house. You didn't have to worry about your mom and dad like being able to like call you on a cell phone or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you could go out and play. As long as you didn't do something really friggin' dumb, you didn't get caught. Like for real, right? Am I
Right.
right or am I wrong?
I mean, yeah, I do think one of the cool things about being born where we are is that we appreciate technology and things like that, or having a pager. But yeah, we were the last like go out and play
Pager, man.
generation kind of thing. Yeah. Oh, because then the neighbor would vouch. If you went outside and caused ruckus, someone's neighbor would tell your mom and it'd be a wrap. But we don't really talk to our neighbors anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like they're
My
weird.
my parents had like, because I grew up in a town, like I had to ride my bike. I know this is gonna sound, because now I've been catching myself as I've gotten older, Flobo, that I'll be like, man, I'm saying a lot of stuff when I was younger that I was like, if I ever sound like that, I would kick my own ass. You see what I'm saying? And now I'm like, oh man, I used to have to ride 5 miles down a dirt road to get to town to hang out with my buddies and stuff. But it was the truth. It was the truth. But like as long as we were back in by 9, but I digress. Back to it. My parents gave permission to some of the closer family, friends of the family. Like if you see my kid acting up, you have permission to put the hand to him.
Yeah.
Like it was that way. But you can't do that now though, because people would like completely look down on that.
Right, and I understand. And again, I like to single you out, you being us Southern dwellers, right? Because I went to school, I went to college in the South the first time. So I was 18 years old when I moved to Florida. I lived there for 4 years for
Where'd you go to
undergrad.
school in Florida?
Flagler College. I'm a saint.
You know, like I'm in Volusia County right now, south of
Okay, yeah,
yeah,
Daytona, yeah.
like I'm in Daytona. So man, Flagler got really tore up from this last hurricane, man.
Hmm.
Like the erosion on the beaches and stuff. My
Yeah,
good
yeah, yeah.
friend Daniel went to Flagler. So were you around St. Augustine? Did you go to St. Augustine?
Yeah, I live on campus.
So then you were like by the Lion Bridge, then right there. You know the bridge with the
The
lion
Bridge Alliance,
statue.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a great town, but that place got destroyed too, pretty bad during the last hurricane. And there was a bunch of shipwrecks that got uncovered from the erosion. Like they found merchant shipwrecks from like the early 1800s, like on the beach.
I don't want to say that's cool because like it's damage, obviously. But that's interesting, right? Having history in of itself. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
thought it was kind of cool, but like,
yeah.
man, we got it like really bad. But I also don't feel bad for the people that live on the beach. You
Yeah.
know, like you chose to live there, right?
I personally am not a beach person, so it was kind of interesting for me being there. But no, the point I was trying to say about the whole parenting thing is that
Mhm.
yeah, we grew up in the north, and from the southern perspective, it seems that all of us are kind of like, oh no, Jeffrey, go ahead and do what you want. Those people did exist, and I think that's really interesting to me. How, as I lived in different parts of this country, we have these stereotypes about regions of people, which aren't true. Because my parents, granted they were immigrants, beat the hell out of me as a kid. And not in a bad way. I'm not like saying, oh my gosh, my parents beat me. It's kind of like, yeah, if I did something, that was the way to discipline me because you don't get caught with your cooking behind it, or you don't embarrass the family outside doing something weird. Probably another reason why I don't have kids myself, because I could not do that, right?
I just turned 43, no kids.
Respect, child free,
Yeah.
baby. But yeah, I think a lot of it is that kind of generational shift of what they call now, what we call go out and play is now called being a free range child and things like that. It just seems that everything is shifting. That's just the nature of the game.
I talked to my buddy, the guy that produces my show. His son just turned 18. You know, he's got a
Dang.
car, but like he's not. I'm telling you right now, when I got my first car, that was a game changer, and you could not get me to stay in the house.
Oh yeah.
What was your first car? Mine was a Dodge Omni, 4-speed.
Nice.
Biggest piece of crap, but I loved it. It was fun, and
Yeah.
I could dog that car as hard as I wanted to, and it would just still keep ticking. Could
Yeah.
not could not destroy that car.
The Dodges back then were tanks, man. They're Reliant and all that stuff too. No, I my first year of college, I didn't think I needed a car because I was from Brooklyn. I was like, I'll get the bus. And you're like, there ain't no buses out here, Flobo.
Florida, you have to have there's not really any mass transit.
They didn't tell me that until my second year. So between my first and second year of college, I got a 1999 Toyota Camry Solara, the 2-door, the coupe. So it was like super long doors, and plus it had to be long enough to fit me because I was 375 pounds. It was size 6X shirt, so I couldn't like jump in like a Dodge Neon. It had to be a big car. So the Toyota Camry Solara was my first one.
300 pounds. What are can I ask? 375. Okay, so all right. So what are you at right now?
I would say 215 on a good day.
How
like
tall
220
are you though?
6 foot. So
Okay,
I'm supposed to be
199
if I wanted to be military ready, but I'm like, nah, I gotta be there.
You need to get on that David Goggins. You need to be like David Goggins. You just be like, hey, sometimes he's a little over the top. He's like, I'm going to run 35 miles a day. And then when I get done with this, I'm going to run all the way up to the North Pole right now. And I'm going to crack open the ice and I'm going to do an ice bath in the Arctic waters. And it's just like, man, calm down, dude.
I like wings, man. I like wings and beer. I don't need to do all that. Donuts and cheeseburgers. It's all good.
But man, he's intense. But he was a big guy as well, and he was just like, but man, he's just like on it. He's like, man, you got to do stuff every day that you fucking hate. And I'm why do I want to do that? But it is kind of true. It does build character.
Yeah, it does. I always say like the days I didn't want to do it or work out or whatever, it was like brushing your teeth or showering, right? Like it may not be the best idea to skip it. So just do it.
Can we spend a little bit of time talking about cancel culture a little bit?
Okay.
Okay. So
I don't know them. They're not friends of mine. I don't know.
Okay.
Why.
No, but I know that. But a comedian, do you like ever worry about that stuff? Because one of the guys that I think is untouchable is Chappelle. Like he just does not care.
Right.
And I think he is one of the few comedians that is uncancelable.
I'm with you. I feel like the cancel culture thing is a nice construct. It's nice to throw our hands up and complain. But I think about who was really truly canceled. Like losing your job on a TV show, on a news show, isn't no much canceling. And if someone gets fired from a job, I have to ask, are they saying and doing any things besides whatever they're being canceled for? As a comedian, I'm not worried about cancel culture because I don't try to take anyone down. The only thing I worry about now when I write material is sometimes you don't really know if you're offending people. Right? If you get on stage, like the problem with these people are this, and someone goes, hey, that's disrespectful. I go, well, you put yourself in that position. But the thing I worry about is making a joke about, I don't know, blocks, and someone being like, yo, my dad is half block. That's racist. And I go, what? And you know what I mean? Not see that coming at all. I feel like usually you have a chance to defend yourself. If someone says, hey, look, it's out of context, explain. Usually it's on Twitter or social media, or you have a chance to do an apology. And sometimes when people double down or go, I shoot from the hip, I tell it like it is, that's where you put yourself into trouble. And the thing about it is people kind of forget things, they blow over. Like I look at Paula Deen, she was canceled a couple of years ago, but you can still buy her merchandise in the store. It's like, what? Who's really canceled? You know what I mean? Unless there's someone like Kathy Griffin, who was canceled, who said, I'm not going to go back and start over and work clubs anymore, like Louis C.K. did when he was canceled. She's still canceled because she didn't really want to do the work to come back for where she was.
I went and saw her live in Lakeland, and I got to tell you, it was a great show. Am I her biggest fan? I went and saw it because she was a guest on a radio show. We had free tickets and stuff, but it was good. It was. Could she have been smarter about the way she handled the whole thing? Yes, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't care who you are, who you voted for. You don't do a severed head of the president and then be like, well, this is funny, right? You're like, no, just say it's not,
No, but at the same time, there's just things that that you just can joke about. Like the president stuff, even if you hate, look, I believe in absolute freedom of speech. I do. I do. Unless it's not inciting violence. You see what I'm saying? Or keeping somebody from practicing their religion or making a living. You see what I'm saying? I I don't think that there should be any limitations on it. Or do you think there should be?
I think when you go to a comedy show and you have a comedian on stage, there's a bit of a verbal contract and says, look, this is a safe space as far as you understand at the very basic level, I'm attempting for humor. If I don't make it, I can't make you laugh, but it's not like I'm going to a town square and jumping on a soapbox and doing anything. I had Trump jokes when I first started doing comedy when Trump was just the guy from The Apprentice. And I thought they were pretty funny. I mean, I had a couple bits about being rich and all that stuff. When he became a politician and decided to run for president, you have to take real stock and say political humor is a different level of humor, much like making fun of social issues, making fun of anything like that. You have to be on point and you have to have a message. If you're just doing it for the sake of jokes, you're either going to become hack or a monologue or comedian, like a late night talk show host,
or you're going to alienate half of your audience.
Oh, you're gonna alienate half of your audience, and that's why I started throwing my Trump jokes out. That really wasn't my attempt as a humor. Like you go back to the history of comedy, Will Rogers, Mark Twain, like political satire is ingrained in our fabric. Those political cartoons from the 1800s, we've always made fun of politicians. But now more than ever, people have basically assigned the political parties to their lifestyle. I'm not just conservative; it's anti-American if you feel this way. I'm not just liberal; you hate America if you say this. And I think that's the difference. Why everyone's afraid to say anything.
That's why I try to stay away from it. And even if I try to talk about anything political, I always get labeled, oh, you're a conservative or you're a liberal and stuff. And the way that I look at it is I've lost faith in the whole political system a long time ago.
USA.
Yeah, I really did. But I mean, I still think we're a great country compared to a lot of the other countries. So I don't want anybody to think I'm being un-American because we could be at a zero COVID system like China is, and where you're living out on the street because you have a red rating and you are a successful businessman, but you can't go home because you can't get into your house because you tested positive for COVID a couple of days ago. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, has there ever been a joke that you've written that you decided not to do because you were like, because now, like, you're not going to offend you're not going to offend me. You're not going to offend anybody in my audience. But like, is there a joke where you were like,
yeah, I do think the writing process, you write down whatever that's funny to you. And unfortunately, there's a self-edit part, right? Where you say that doesn't work. I'm not really feeling that. I'll try this at an open mic. And then if you do the open mic and that works out, then you put it in your set. Because of this, it's that preemptive stuff, that Minority Report stuff where you go, this may offend this person. This may offend that person. I'm not even going to risk it and cut that out. So yes, that kind of happens pretty often because you don't really know what's going to be offensive today or tomorrow. You got to basically the right jokes for the next 5 or 10 years. Even words that I used to say when I was a kid, we can't say, just because of the nature of the business, But I don't think anyone's getting more uptight or more politically correct. I think that we just have more of a platform to say things are offending us.
Okay, what do you think about jokes that were told that were accepted at the time they were told, but then 15, 20 years later, we go back and we're like, oh, look at what such and such did. Yeah. Like, I mean, we're even canceling people for jokes that happened 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I do think there's a room for us to reevaluate art in today's lens and say this isn't for us. I'll give you an example. When I went to film school, graduate school, college the second time, there was a poster. I mean, granted, I was in California, which is outside California, considered a liberal state, quote unquote. They have a giant poster of Birth of a Nation. Have you seen that movie?
Who's in it? I'm bad with titles.
1934. It was a silent film. Basically, it was a film that re-inspired the Klan, right? So it was a lot of the villains that people were in blackface and they were eating watermelon and drinking whiskey and all that stuff. And so I asked my professors, I go, hey, look, I understand that this movie is important because Birth of a Nation is very technical sound for its time. But I go, why is this on the wall today? In 2007 or whatever, and they said, well, you can't erase history. So I go this, if you go about comedy and humor and stuff, we have a right to say, hey, look, let's keep this album in the archives. Richard Pryor is one of his best albums of all time. Half the country can't even say the name.
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
At the same time, just because it exists and it held value and held merit, we don't have to put it on the same level today because tastes do change. I mean, I think there's not one or the other. We can't just say it's canceled. Now, people do that, but I go, there's too much gray area. I look at a movie real quick, like Breakfast at Tiffany's. They'll still air that movie, but they'll do a little disclaimer at the beginning saying, hey, look, Mickey Rooney is not really Asian. He made people offended, but here you go. And there's some movies you don't see anymore. Like when's Disney ever going to release Song of the South? They're not because they said, forget it.
All right. I'm glad you brought that up because that's a story that hit this week in the news. They're replacing Splash Mountain.
Correct.
At Disney because of the Song of the South theme that's associated with that ride.
Right. Well, Disney is not a private company, but they are a publicly traded company. They can do whatever they like. It isn't like American history. There's no one's breaking into a library and missing it. But Disney was put themselves into a corner, right? Because as you're trying to push for these diverse heroes.
Don't say gay bill and stuff. Like you see what I'm saying? Like you can't be tolerant to one. You see what I'm saying? And then be like, but I still say what you want. That's still I think it's a cinematic movie that I think is actually has its place. Was it a little insensitive? Yes, it was. But
it was a lot insensitive. But the thing is, even if it wasn't, it doesn't matter what I feel. Disney made a very conscious effort to put it in the vault and not bring it out. So you have a ride that's taking up space from a movie you cannot profit off of. The point of me going to the ride is going, oh wow, teacups are great. Let me go watch Alice in Wonderland again. If I can't see the movie after on the ride, what's the point of the ride? So it's like, forget my feelings. It was totally a business decision, which I'm saying I'm not going to clap Disney for being inclusive and make me feel better. They have things to sell, and the movie they can't sell anymore.
Uncle Remus, though, did a great job in that movie, though. I always try to find out what he got paid for that role.
Yeah.
I bet he got screwed.
I would say so.
Yeah. So, all right. So you do that. So like, what's your schedule like? Are you doing weddings and stand-up shows in the same week? Are you hosting stuff?
Yeah, for sure. So most weddings are on the weekends, mostly Saturdays and Sundays. In California, it's March to October. It's really the wedding season. Saturday during the day, if I'm not doing the wedding side, I'm usually doing the announcing for esports and video games, which pretty much leaves my weekends.
Wait, back up. So you're doing announcing for esports games?
Yeah. I'm a shoutcaster. So basically, it's like what John Madden used to do. Instead of like for real football.
Are you doing for Madden or like FIFA? Do you do FIFA, Madden, like NCAA basketball?
Sure.
Yeah.
My primary game is a game called Rocket League, but I also have done things for F1 and WWE 2K. So those are my main
F1, like racing series type stuff.
Yeah, the EA games F1 22, WWE 2K 23, and then Rocket League. So they're video games. I do commentary.
Is Rocket League the car one with the soccer?
Correct. Yeah, 3v3. Yeah. Where you're playing soccer with cars on the field, and I get to be like, oh my gosh, what a shot! It was amazing. That kind of a thing.
Who are some of the sports broadcasters you kind of like when you're doing that? Like you kind of get a little bit of inspiration from. Like, what are the ones that you're like kind of model myself?
Sure. I would say the biggest influence is Michael Cole from WWE, but Arlo White in Premier League Soccer. If you've ever seen Ted Lasso.
Yeah, Arlo. Yeah.
Yeah, we love Arlo.
Peter Drury. Have you ever, or Ian Dark? He's another
Ian Dark's a good one.
Another soccer announcers, but like they always talk about we always talk about how the Mexican announcers, the guy on Telemundo that does the soccer, and they're like, why does every sports call sound better in Spanish? And I was it's great.
It's a rhythm of language. If you want my personal opinion, which I know totally never been asking for, I'm telling you anyway. It's rhythm of language. English and German, because it happens when I'm trying to write jokes too, because your jokes have to have a rhythm as well.
German sounds angry all the time.
But so does English. If you don't speak English, English is very like going to the store, getting some milk. Romance languages like Spanish and French are kind of
rhythm.
It's rhythm. You ever see Italian people? They always do that. Like it's always like da 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 da, or Portuguese is always sha sha sha. Like it's always a a sing song to it. So you have that with a crescendo of a game that's based completely on suspense. It is like, oh my gosh, cuidado, cuidado. I mean, it's like a big deal because every moment the heart's pouring out through the words.
Have you ever, so you do the F1 stuff, have you ever done yourself a favor and listened to the Motor Racing Network that does NASCAR? It is some of the best like radio announcing. Okay, there's a big difference between TV announcing and radio announcing. I think radio announcers will always be better than the TV announcers.
It's a good rule of thumb because not many people are willing to rely on saying, look, I got to describe things you can't see, especially when you start out. So I would say all things being equal, the radio broadcast tends to be the better one, but of course there's some exceptions.
But I just feel like they gotta portray more feeling, more emotion in their voice and stuff. I mean, who's the guy that everybody hates that does baseball and football?
There's so many. Joe Buck, I assume.
Yeah, Joe Buck. Yes, everybody hates. Everybody talks shit about Joe Buck, and I'm just like, he's not that bad. I mean, but everybody likes the guy that just passed away that did the Dodgers games.
Scully.
Yeah, Scully. Everybody loved him. There are so many, but there are so many icon. Okay, so once again, ADHD's kicking in. What do you think is one of your favorite sports calls?
Wow. There's a lot of them, man. I would say last year I got the MLB TV package, and I've been blessed with checking out Gary, Keith, and Ron over in New York covering the Mets games. Gary Cohen's just so good. I find myself saying he struck him out, the ball game is over myself many times, or it's out of here many times, and so I'll say that number one with the bullet. But I don't really have a favorite call because I'm more of a wrestling guy. I watch more hours of professional.
Wait, you're a wrestling guy? Okay, so you know, like. I got Joe the Supermark here that's in the chat room right now. Do you realize he has a full back tattoo of Hogan?
Oh wow.
Like this guy. Hey, Joe, if you want to call in, please, you can call in 407-270-3044. I think you would definitely be able to, but being over in Tampa, like we met a lot of the wrestlers, and Hogan used to come on the Bubba the Love Sponge show, which I worked on. And I don't know, do you know all the inside info about the sex tape and all that? Yeah. I was working there when all that the heyday of that was going on. Wow. And I mean, the Nasty Boys would be in. You would have like, of
course, Hogan is always Nasty Boys. But
I mean, but then like you would just randomly see wrestlers around Tampa all the time, and it was crazy. Mark Marrow, I did a lot of stuff with him. So like, who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
Growing up, you're going to laugh at this. And there was the big three were Razor Ramon, Tatanka, and Duke the Dumpster Drozy. Like
wait, who is that?
He lasted like 6 months, and he was a guy that was a garbage man that wrestled. And I thought that was so cool. He was so strong. He took a second job throwing people for a living. I thought that was amazing.
Razor Ramon. He loved playing the bad guy. Rest in peace. He just died recently. Oh, hey, hold on. Joe is calling in. Hold on. This guy, you want to talk about a guy that knows wrestling? Hey, Joe, you there? Hey, Joe, I got Flobo here with me. He is a big. Can you hear him?
No.
No, you can't hear him at all. I have it all set up correctly. Oh man, that sucks. I don't know why that's work. Hold on. Say one thing, Flobo. See if you can hear him. No, nothing. Why can you not hear him? Jesus Christ. Let me unpair my Bluetooth here and see if that'll work. Huh, interesting. I know. Hey, you got my number, right, Joe? Yeah, call me on that. I'll pipe in through my phone. How's that? I want to see if that works. All right. Sorry. I know that I'm not being very professional and stuff, but
Say hello to the bad guy.
But no, I mean, he was really, really good, though, right? I mean, Razor Ramon was the best.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Hold on, Joe. I've got it's connecting now. Hold on, let me see. Oh, Joe, damn it. Hold on, let me just call him here. This is such bad. There we go. Hey, Joe, are you there? Oh, why is this? Give me 1 second, Joe. This is so bad. So unprofessional, but I want you to talk because if you're a wrestling fan, Joe is the guy like you need to talk to because this guy is he's got a full backpack too of Hogan. You there, Joe?
I'm here.
I can hear him.
All right, there we go.
I can hear him a little bit.
All right, cool. All right, here we go.
I heard him before talking about Duke the Dumpster Drosy.
Yeah.
You remember T.L. Hopper?
Yeah, T.L. Hopper, the plumber. Yeah. Dark times.
The Goon. Do you remember the Goon, the hockey
player?
player?
The hockey player. Yeah. He was
one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and he only wrestled one match in WWF. He was a wrestling magician. His name was Fantasio.
Oh, wow.
At the end of the match, he gave the referee a wedgie, and he pulled his underwear right out from underneath his pants.
He was banned forever.
Hey, so Joe, tell Flobo the time was it Monday Night Raw that you were a part of, where Hogan like brought you into the ring that one time, or what was it?
We ended up doing it 3 times. We did it in Philadelphia. We did it in Montreal, Canada, which was the best of all. But the one that was on pay-per-view was in Backlash of 2005. It was in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And right at the end of Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels' first tag team match ever together, Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels posed down to every side of the ring again and again, and they were done. They were about to leave, and then Hebner brought them back in to raise their arms up one more time. And when he did that, Hogan looked over his shoulder. He just happened to notice me in the front row. And then he waved me to come in. So I hopped over the guardrail and I jumped in the ring, and I was about to lift up my shirt to show the tattoo. And I had 2 shirts on, and they pulled it back down. And then Shawn grabbed one side, Hogan grabbed the other, and they ripped my shirts to pieces. And then I was topless in the ring with big jugs and a hairy back. But I still had a Hulk Hogan tattoo, so that was positive. So then Hogan suggested that we pose down. So we posed down in front of 12,000 fans and millions watching all over the world. And it was an experience somebody couldn't even pay $1 million for.
Wait, but you had no shirt, and it was April. What'd you do after that?
Oh, well, I had the pieces. I had the back of one shirt and the piece of another shirt, and I wore them over my shoulder like it was a towel.
Yeah.
But the front of the shirt, the yellow Hulkamania shirt I wore, was hanging right over the second rope on the other side of the ring. So I never got it. And the craziest thing about that shirt was it was when Hogan re-released the brand new yellow, beautiful, bright Hulkamania shirt. And I was at Madison Square Garden. And I didn't want to get the shirt on the way in because I'd have to carry it the whole show.
Yeah.
So I had to get it on the way out. And every merchandise stand was sold out of that shirt. I'm running back into the garden, pretending like I forgot something, hitting every merchandise stand. They're all sold out. So when I got to Manchester, New Hampshire, first thing I did was buy that shirt, put it on, and I said, I'm not losing this one.
The hell you not?
Well, yeah, Joe. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead, Joe.
Well, I was going to tell you the best part of all, Bubba the Love Sponge has been fired off the radio since February of 2004. He's the one that dared me to get the tattoo. So he said if I got the tattoo, then he would fly me down to Florida. I would hang out with Hogan for an entire day, go out to eat, go out on his boat and everything in between, go to the gym even, which was a fat ass doing going to the gym. I don't know, but that was part of the game. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. 4 sittings of 5 hours apiece, 20 hours later, August of 2003, I get the tattoo. I wait for my payoff, and then by February of 2004, he's fired. So there's really no deal. But the bomb is by May of 2005, a year or whatever later, a year and a couple of months, Bubba comes out and finds me out in the crowd in New Hampshire. He had flown up to New Hampshire with Hogan. He comes out and finds me in the crowd. I looked over my shoulder. I'm like, oh my God, Bubba, that's fine. I flipped the fuck out. Oh, it was so awesome. What a great time. He gave me his number. We connected after. Hung out with Hogan. I was so high on some bomb-ass weed. Hogan's like, smells good, brother.
So Hogan is like what, top 7 for you, number 7 in all time favorite wrestlers?
Honestly, I don't even like Hulk Hogan. I watch him and I think he's great to watch, but I think Shawn Michaels is the best wrestler.
Ooh, after all of that,
yeah.
where's the Shawn Michaels chat?
Flobo?
That's a hard question. I'm a D'Lo Brown guy, but I understand it's a hard sell for most people.
What about New Jack?
D'Lo Brown is right now.
Yeah, New Jack's okay. What's up? What was that, Joe?
I just said, did you ever see how fat D'Lo Brown is right now?
Oh yeah. I actually interviewed him last year, and it was kind of like a bucket list thing. But yeah, you know,
he's a cool guy. I got nothing against him except for he broke Droz' neck and paralyzed him.
Hey, they worked it out. They forgave each other.
Hey,
of course, forgiveness is the biggest thing. That's why I learned that. I read the whole Bible.
Hey, no, Joe is don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. Joe is a supermark for God, though. He is, like, which is a great thing. But, you know, he's a supermark for wrestling, supermark for God, too.
So that means that should be Extinct should be there.
Bottom line it. Yeah. I mark out to everything. New food at all these restaurants, I mark out. Everything, all the toys from Ninja Turtles to He-Man to everything in between. I collected them all. G.I. Joe, Transformers, I had every single one. And then when I started buying my own toys when I grew up, I got my first job at 14. I started buying 2 of every toy because one wasn't enough.
All right, Joe. Well, listen, is Bubba doing $199 tonight?
Tonight, it's starting right now. So when you get off, you get on that line, call him up.
I have to give him a call. All right, Joe, have a good one, okay?
I can't wait to hear you, brother. Thank you, guys.
All right, man, bye. I thought you would like, because he is a big wrestling fan.
Oh yeah, I can tell. Wrestling fans are passionate. Well, I respect.
You know, like the only wrestler, New Jack, was the one that like I was actually legitimately afraid of. Do you remember New Jack? Like, dude, when he came in, his forehead looked like one of those. You remember those globes back in the day where you could like feel the mountains and stuff? You know, it was one of those topical or I forget what the topography ones where you could actually see the elevation. That's what his forehead was like because like he had like cut himself so many times.
His Dark Side of the Ring was actually pretty cool. It's actually cool.
Yeah, he almost killed that kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, man. Anyways, Flobo, before we go, tell my audience how they can check out any of your stuff. And I always like my guests to give me a little bit of a rating on the interview. You know, I like to get, feedback and everything. So do promote your stuff first before you tell me how crappy the interview was so we can get the promotion stuff. I let the promotion stuff happen before where I'm not like, you know what, screw you, guy. I'm not letting you promote anything.
Yeah, I got you. No, I appreciate that. Well, thankfully, in my career now, you could just Google it. You can Google Flobo Boys and things will come up. Thank goodness. It took me 15 years to get there. But most of my stuff is on Spotify. So my comedy albums, some of my novelty songs, my podcast are available on Spotify. You can follow me on that Twitter at Flobo Boys. That's FLOBO. BOYCE, and the website is flobito.com, FLOBITO.com. And as far as the interview, it was interesting. It was cool. It was challenging. It made me think, and that's great.
Challenging.
Yeah, no, because sometimes you get so you do enough of these interviews, there's kind of the same questions you kind of get all the time. Hey, where are you from? Where you started? What do you like to do? What's your favorite
I just like
to
have just a regular conversation with somebody. Like it just.
Yeah.
Did you ever think we would like have a guy that has a Hulk Hogan tattoo on a full back tattoo?
I actually saw that coming. No, I predicted that.
Oh, you did.
We're definitely going to have a tattoo.
When you think when I say back tattoo, you probably think, it's just a little tattoo in between the shoulder blades. No, like Hogan's head takes up one shoulder blade. And then
it's not even his favorite wrestler. That's what trips me out.
It's a full back tattoo of Hogan doing the, I'm a real American hero pose.
Yeah.
So he had that done. All right. So, what are some of your next food combinations
Yeah, those are all like user generated. So if there's a hot item you want me to try, something trendy, I'm a donut guy, I'm a burger guy. You should default to that. But yeah, if you have something you want me to try out, first time reaction, I'll make it happen.
I was going, you know what? I'm not going to bring up because you think that because I debated on talking about it, but you brought up this food item. And I will send you the video. A year ago, I did this. A year ago, before I even knew who Flobo Boyce was. Okay?
No one knows who I am. It's fine.
No, before I knew who you were. Look, I interview a lot of people.
It was a joke. It was a joke, Tuddle. I was kidding.
I got cause cancel culture. Like I gotta be, but I debated on like telling you, but I did this. Actually, it probably was 2 years ago, and now I eat it all the time. I mean, okay, you brought up this food earlier. Mustard on watermelon. I eat it all the time. And I debated on bringing that up to you because I was like, oh, cancel culture and stuff. This guy's probably going to be like, oh, this white guy. But I eat it all the time. I fucking love it. I'm addicted to it. I fucking love it. I can't wait to get off of this honky show right now.
You know what? I want to say I thank you for it. Because if you did ask me about watermelon out of nowhere, I probably would have thought that. I would have come to that conclusion. So now it makes perfect sense. That said, saw the trend. I'm out because I don't even like yellow mustard. The only mustard I eat is like stone ground or horseradish mustard. And I know that I don't do yellow mustard. I don't do yellow mustard. It's terrible. If I get pretzels, definitely getting that stone ground or
how do you eat a hot dog then?
Don't do this. This is going to be a bad decision. I
got to hear about this because if you're from the New York area and you eat a hot dog, you just go mustard on the hot dog.
So here's the deal. Because my parents are poor, we used to have hot dogs in the freezer as breakfast food. I almost never buy it outside because to me, it's like a hardship food. It's like times are tough, get the hot dogs. So I don't eat them at all. I try to avoid them. So I don't, not to be bougie about it. I just can't. There's certain foods you eat when you're poor. You're just like,
I ate a ketchup sandwich one time. As poor white trash. Living in the South, I did. I had a ketchup sandwich.
Would you do it again? No,
if I was hungry enough. You got to eat what you got to eat, man.
Fair enough.
I mean, we look at food as like an enjoyment thing. You don't you think we really have we do. I get enjoyment out of food. It sucks. I don't know what happened in our lives that we just ate food for enjoyment and didn't look at food as like a just fuel for us. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I'm totally with you. I feel like there's some foods that growing up I would eat because we were poor and I still love. Like I love Vienna sausages, for example. But if someone's like, "Yo, we got hot dogs," I'm like, "Got any burgers? You got any pretzels?
Yeah.
You got any brisket?"
Spam? Did you ever eat Spam back in the day?
I had a Spam phase. It was like when I was 8 or 9, I ate Spam all the time, and it kind of tapered off. But yeah, it was part of the diet.
Grilled cheese sandwiches?
No, grilled cheese sandwiches was not my thing. But my because I like to have something else. I'm a ham guy. Ham and cheese sandwich, great.
Wait, so all right. So when you go with your lunch meat, do you go like thick slice? Do you like your thick slice ham, or do you go thin slice ham? Do you go honey baked? What do you go with?
When I was a kid, it was definitely the perfect circles of the Oscar Mayer multi-pack. But now I usually get the ham steak, so thick, right?
Yeah, we even ate that little plastic rubber ring around the bologna from the Oscar Mayer. Back in the day, we were like, those are calories.
Throwing stones in that glass house. Yeah.
I mean, we would do all that, man. There was some stuff. Like we would never go buy donuts. Like we would buy the how you could get the biscuit rolls. You can get the biscuits rolls, and you'd have to like slam it on the counter to bust it open. Yeah. We would make our own donuts. Like my mom would take an old like medicine bottle and cut the donut holes out of the biscuits, and we would fry those and put like cinnamon sugar. It was the best fucking thing. I love that type of stuff. Bugles. Did you guys have bugles back in the day?
Oh yeah, the hand things to put on.
Yeah. You put them. You can make them like fingernail things. So we would take bugles. My mom, when we'd had friends over, would like, "Hey, honey, will you and your friends want a treat?" And I'm like, yeah, Mom. All right, I'm going to take 3 slices of Velveeta single wrap cheese, and I'm going to put those on top of the bugles, and I'm going to throw it in the microwave for about an hour and a half until it's all just one solid piece of thing. And then we would just be like, "Oh, thanks, Mom. We got Velveeta cheese on bugles." And we wouldn't even get like the bugles because like we would have some of these off the wall like convenience stores down here, like Winn-Dixie. And
Oh yeah.
I
Food
mean,
Lion.
yeah, Food Lion, but they all had like their own brand of like products. Like you could, their Mountain Dew at Winn-Dixie was Country Mist. Yeah. Hey, Mom, can we get some Mountain Dew? And she'd come home and it'd be Country Mist.
Yeah,
And like, listen, it's the same thing. It's just called Country Mist. And then like we'd have Czech sodas.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I used to drink a case a day. Back when I'm my heavy phase, I was drinking a case of Czech soda a day.
What about Walmart had Sam's Cola back in the day though too?
If you've been to St. Augustine, Sam's Club or Walmart's like way past State Road 312. So you get a ride, you would say stop at Winn-Dixie and I'll get like 2 cases of Czech, and that in 2 days those were gone. I was drinking 2 cases every 2 days.
Oh man. Oh God. I had people probably listening to me. I was like, oh, no wonder this guy's doing a podcast now.
Yeah. Me too. One of those guys that gets on a podcast. Stay in school, kids. Don't be like me.
Well, listen, Flobo, I really enjoyed this interview.
Likewise.
I like it when I can just have a guest on and I can just, the next thing I know, I look down because I've literally had you on for an hour.
Hey.
So I can't thank you enough. It's a Friday. I was tired. I worked a lot, and I really needed you to help me get through this show. And I'm glad that it was great.
Thanks. Hey, thank you for having me on. And if you're watching now, man, hit that like button, subscribe. Give you some stars, dollars. Where we're streaming on Twitch, YouTube.
Well, I'm on Twitch. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Facebook.
Super chats, stars.
Yeah,
give everything.
I felt so good the first time I got my first like YouTube check. It wasn't a lot, but like I was like, it was kind of like, oh, I'm getting paid to do something.
Oh yeah.
Even though it's like I make about $200 a month off my YouTube, and then like every 2 or 3 months, like Twitch will throw me a $300 check. So like.
It's one of those things where I could tell you that not many people will understand to celebrate with you, but I will. So props, bro. That means a lot because there's a lot of guys out there who's not doing that.
No, and like I do it like for a while. Like I would cover up the amount of viewers at one time. Like I would put like a little post-it note so I couldn't see because it would bother me sometimes. And it's like I'm not doing it. I'm doing this to build an audience. I'm building this to engage an audience. And I think a lot of people do get discouraged when they're creating content online, because you look at Mr. Beast, you look at all these big guys, and if you look when they first started off in their journey and stuff, they did not have a lot of people.
Oh yeah, I don't necessarily agree with his content all the time, but if you look at Joe Rogan, his Joe Rogan Experience #1 is still on YouTube, and it is not the show he does now. It's so rudimentary. It's so old school. It's so like step one, Do
you have any of your old stuff?
Yeah, everything. That's what I'm saying. I've been doing it for so long that you can put my name into any search engine, Google, Bing, YouTube, Pinterest. Stuff comes up because I've been doing this for like 20 years.
Hey, can I get you to come on the show again? And I would like to do an air check of your first show that you did, podcast.
Yeah.
And then I will play my first show that I did on my podcast, and we can kind of review each other. I actually think that would be some great content. Matter of fact, if you want to, like, if you want to come on my show, we can review my stuff, or we can review your stuff, or vice versa, or whatever. If you wanted, I know I'm being rude by trying to invite myself on any of your content, but what I'm trying to say though is like let's talk about that. I think that would be a great bit.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's there. It's out in public. I'm willing to cringe with you live. See me cringe.
Yeah. All right, Flobo. I hope you have a great weekend, my friend.
Yeah,
and I really enjoyed this. I think you're a great dude. Please check out Flobo. What's the main website that people need to go to find out any of your links?
Yeah, flobito.com, FLOBITO.com.
All right, man. I hope you have a wonderful night and a great weekend.
All right, same to you.
All right, man. Bye. All right, guys, going to get out of here. Thanks to my guest, Flobo, for coming on the show. I think he gave a weird look. Did you see he was like looking off into the corner there? I was like, God, I'm glad this is finally over with. Anyways, nice guy. Gonna get out of here, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed today's show. Hopefully you guys stay safe, and I will talk to you on Monday.